I'm Michael of M.O.D's Catering Services. Don't forget to subscribe. So in this video, we are going to learn how to make a beautiful and yummy white chocolate ganache, cover our yummy flavors with it, and also cover our cake in fondant. So we have our white chocolate ganache. After refrigerating and whipping for some time, we just ended up with this nice pliable white chocolate. So we're just going to crumb coat our whole cake with it. Then we cover our cake in fondant. So what I normally do is, after layering my cake with buttercream and adding my filling creams to it, I just trim it perfectly, especially the ones protruding outside. I just trim them off. Sometimes I do not trim at all because chocolate ganache normally covers everywhere for me. So I'm just going to proceed and cover my whole cake layers in chocolate ganache, that white chocolate ganache. So the ratio of the white chocolate ganache is 3 parts of white chocolate to 1 part of cream. 3 parts of white chocolate to 1 part of cream. So if you are using 900 grams of white chocolate, you only need 300 grams of whipping cream. You heat up your cream, you add it to your white chocolate, your chocolate chunks. You have to cut them into smaller chunks. Then you add your boiled whipped cream into it, and you gently mix till all the chocolate and cream has been well mixed or well incorporated and there is no lump. When you are done, you cover the surface. You let the cling film sit on the surface of your white chocolate. Then you refrigerate it for 1 hour. After refrigerating, all you need is your hand whisk. Your hand whisk. You just take your hand whisk, you use your whisk attachment, then you start creaming or beating your ganache. In doing so, you're adding more air into your chocolate ganache, making it smooth enough, and you're enhancing the texture of your white chocolate ganache. Once you are done, you put it back in your fridge. You can continue the process for 3 times. Afterwards, your ganache is ready to be used. One secret to chocolate ganache is, after coating or crumb coating your cake, all you need is your hair blower. Please, it should be brand new. You shouldn't use it for your hair. The hair blower shouldn't be a multi-purpose hair blower. It should strictly be used for cakes. I'm a guy, I got it for cakes. I don't need hair blower for anything. So please, if you're a lady, you get a new one for your chocolate ganache, that's for your white chocolate ganache, or even your dark chocolate ganache. It's better for giving you that smooth texture. So after coating, smoothing out our cake, I'm now going to work on our edges. So we take our spatula, or should I say our palette knife, and as usual, I scrape from the edge to the center, then I wipe. Scrape from the edge to the center, then I wipe and continue till I get my edges so clean and neat. Now let's crumb coat these 5 yummy flavors. So we just decided to pour the whole chocolate ganache onto the cake, and now with our palette knife, we are going to guide the chocolate all around the cake. So we make sure the ganache has coated our whole 5 yummy flavors. This is a 10-inch cake with it for our client. So afterwards, I'm going to teach you how to cover your cake in fondant after covering in chocolate ganache. That's why chocolate ganache. So the ratio, as I said again, is 3 parts of chocolate to 1 part of cream. 900 grams of chocolate to 300 grams of whipping cream. You heat your cream on your stove. Once it's hot enough, you add it to your chocolate and mix. Your chocolate should be chopped into smaller chunks. You should mix that one up till it has been well mixed and there is no lump in your chocolate. Afterwards, you refrigerate it for 1 hour. You bring out your refrigerated ganache, then you use your hand mix to mix thoroughly, introducing air into your chocolate ganache. So as you can see, once your chocolate ganache firms up, all you need is your hair blower. It shouldn't serve as a multi-purpose hair blower, just for cake decoration. You get a new one for cake decoration. So after coating our cake in chocolate ganache, we just work on our edges. As I said, you can also choose to use a lot of chocolate ganache to coat your whole cake. I normally choose to use partial amounts of frosting because I want my customers to enjoy the cake they are eating and not the frosting. They ordered for cake, so they have to get their cake and eat it. Enough or sufficient frosting can do a better job. So here we decided to carve this cake into a form of an helmet. It was for a constructor. So we carved the cake and we also coated the cake in chocolate ganache. It's as easy as you are seeing or as you are watching. After adding our very first thin layer, I try to add this bit of a layer to make it a bit thicker on the outside. After we are done, we are just going to make sure the ganache is smooth enough and it's not going to end up messing our whole cake. So here we have our 3 cakes covered in chocolate ganache and very firm, ready to be covered in fondant. So all you need for carving of your ganache cake is water. You can use water or white fat. I love using water. Sometimes I use white fat depending on what I'm doing. So here I used water. I covered the whole side, which is paneling, and I covered the top. I flipped it onto a different board and I created my sharp edges. So with this, I'm going to show you how I did that. So you make sure the water is enough to make sure it's holding your fondant to your chocolate ganache. Here I didn't spray water at all. So whilst I was thinking, it was just coming off, so I had to add a little bit of water to it to make sure my fondant is sticking to my crumb coated chocolate ganache. Alright, so I'm going to use my smoother to smoothen the fondant to make sure the overlapping joint isn't visible. Afterwards, I just open up the fondant and add a layer. That's my last layer. That's the cover of the cake to it. Afterwards, I make sure I smoothen it out a bit, add a bit of water to make sure the fondant is thickened to my chocolate ganache. When we are done, I'm just going to gently press and make sure it's a gentle press. As you can see, I'm just pressing all around. Chocolate ganache, once it firms up, it's as solid as rock. All you need to do is just control your fondant and make sure it's meeting up with your other fondant you covered at the top. So you make sure we smoothen it, do a very nice smoothing. Then I just trim off the excess. Carving cakes in ganache and carving in fondant, it's very, very easy. It wouldn't stress you. You wouldn't go through any much stress. So after cutting the whole edges, I make sure I drag my fondant again. Sometimes there might be an edge trapped in there, so you make sure you drag gently and cut off any excess fondant you get before flipping your cake to the main cake board. So my main cake board was already covered in fondant. I did a full carving. So after cutting the excess I got after using my smoother around the edges, I'm just going to flip the whole cake onto its main cake board. So all you need to do is now cut off the excess because it's going straight onto the main cake board and there is no room for cutting of any excess fondant at the bottom. So all you need to do is trim off any excess fondant that will be hanging or that will end up causing a mess onto your main cake board. You just trim them off. Then you add your buttercream or any adhesive you'd want your cake to stick to. Afterwards, we just flip it onto our main cake board and we have this beautiful cake covered in fondant. Thanks so much for joining.